Long ago, in a quiet coastal village where waves whispered secrets to the shore and the wind carried the scent of salt and wildflowers, there lived a little girl named Elara. She had hair as dark as midnight and eyes that sparkled like morning stars. Elara loved the sea more than anything in the world. She would spend her days walking barefoot along the sandy beach, listening to the waves, collecting seashells, and imagining great adventures far beyond the horizon. The villagers often said she was born with the ocean in her heart, for no child loved the water as much as she did. One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the sky in orange and pink, Elara noticed something strange glimmering among the shells scattered on the beach. She bent down and found a seashell unlike any other. It shimmered faintly, glowing as though a tiny flame lived inside it. Curious, she held it close to her ear, expecting the rush of waves, but instead she heard a soft whisper that said, "Elara, guardian of tides, the ocean calls for you." She gasped and dropped the shell onto the sand, but the glow remained steady, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. That night she could hardly sleep. She kept the strange glowing shell on her bedside table. As she drifted into dreams, she felt herself being carried away by a wave of light. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer in her little room but standing on a beach of silver sand under a sky where two moons glowed like lanterns. The water shimmered in hues of blue and violet, and the air smelled of honey and salt. Before her stood a great sea turtle, ancient and wise. Its shell was covered with patterns that looked like maps of rivers and oceans, and its eyes glowed golden. The turtle's voice rumbled like thunder across the sea. "Welcome, Elara. You have answered the call of the ocean. The shell of tides has chosen you." Elara clutched the glowing shell in her hands, trembling. The turtle lowered its head kindly and continued, "Dark currents rise from the deep abyss. They bring shadows that seek to drown the songs of the sea. If they are not stopped, every ocean will grow silent and the world will forget its magic." Elara's eyes widened. She whispered that she was only a girl, but the turtle said, "Even the smallest star shines brightest in the darkest night. You must journey through the ocean realms and gather the pearls of harmony. Only then can balance be restored." Elara looked down at the shell, and though her heart beat fast with fear, she felt a warmth growing inside her. She nodded and said, "I'll do it." The turtle lifted one mighty flipper and pointed to the horizon, where shimmering waves rose to form a glowing path across the ocean. "Then your journey begins now. Trust kindness, for it will guide you through every storm." With that, Elara stepped onto the glowing path. The shell of tides lit her way, and the sea turtle slowly vanished into the mist. The path carried her across waves that glowed like liquid starlight. Soon she arrived at the first realm, a forest of coral rising tall as trees, each branch glowing with colors of emerald, ruby, and sapphire. Fish with shimmering fins darted between the coral, and jellyfish drifted like floating lanterns. At the heart of the forest sat a pearl the size of her fist, glowing warmly. But as Elara reached for it, a dark shape slithered from the shadows. A serpent made of black water rose, hissing with glowing red eyes. The shadows had found her. Elara trembled but remembered the turtle's words. She held the shell of tides close and whispered, "I am not afraid." The shell glowed brighter, filling the water with silver light. The serpent hissed and shrieked as the light burned away the darkness clinging to it. In its place was a gentle eel with soft blue eyes. It bowed to her, grateful to be freed. Elara picked up the pearl and felt its warmth spread through her. One pearl of harmony was hers. She continued her journey, guided by the glowing shell. She swam through the gardens of dawn where seahorses danced like ribbons, past the singing caves where the walls echoed with songs of whales, and across the river of stars where the water mirrored the constellations above. Everywhere she went, she faced shadows that tried to trick her, whispering fears and doubts. But each time she held the shell close and chose courage and kindness. In the realm of echoing currents, she met a pod of dolphins who were trapped in a whirlpool of darkness. Their joyful songs had been stolen, leaving only silence. Elara dove into the whirlpool, the shell blazing like a star in her hands. The shadows shrieked and tried to pull her down, but she pushed forward, whispering words of comfort to the dolphins. One by one, their songs returned until the whirlpool collapsed, and laughter filled the sea again. In gratitude, the dolphins presented her with the second pearl of harmony. In the next realm, the abyss of forgotten dreams, the water grew dark and cold. Elara's courage faltered, and she almost turned back. But then she remembered the children of her village who loved the sea as much as she did. She pressed the shell to her heart, and a faint glow lit her way. Deep within the abyss, she found a giant clam shut tight, its heart poisoned by shadows. She sang softly, a lullaby her mother once sang to her. Slowly, the clam opened, and inside rested the third pearl of harmony, shining like dawn. Her journey took her farther than she ever imagined, through trenches glowing with fireflies of the deep, past mountains of crystal where sea dragons slept, and into whirlpools that spun like galaxies. She grew braver with every step, and her kindness freed many creatures trapped by darkness. Each one gifted her with wisdom and strength. At last, with 3 pearls glowing in her satchel, she reached the final realm, the throne of tides. It was a vast palace made of water itself, walls rising and falling like waves frozen in time. At its heart floated the largest pearl of all, glowing with the colors of the ocean. But before she could reach it, the shadows rose in their true form. A giant figure made of black water towered above her, eyes burning like fire. Its voice was a roar that shook the sea. "Little girl, you cannot stop me. I am every fear, every doubt, every sorrow the sea has ever known." Elara trembled, but she lifted the shell of tides high. Her voice rang clear though her heart pounded. "You are wrong. I may be small, but kindness is stronger than fear, and light is stronger than shadows." The pearls in her satchel glowed, and the shell of tides burst with silver fire. The palace filled with light so bright the shadows screamed and shattered into mist. The great pearl floated into her hands, and the throne of tides shone with harmony once more. The sea turtle's voice echoed gently. "You have done it, Elara. The tides are safe, and the songs of the sea will live on." The pearls joined together in a crown of light that rose into the heavens, blessing every ocean with balance and joy. Elara closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, she was back in her little room. The glowing shell rested on her bedside table, warm beneath her fingers. She smiled, knowing her adventure was real, and that whenever the sea whispered, she would listen. From that day forward, Elara grew with courage and kindness, for she had learned that even the smallest heart could carry the light of the ocean. And the sea never forgot her name, for its waves always sang softly, "Elara, guardian of tides."